what motivates men, see, people don't understand this. What motivates a man is I can have more than you. That's what motivates. Why should I be motivated to work hard if you don't work hard and you get paid the same? I'll just think, well, hey, if you can get away with it, I'll do the same. And what I talk about in terms of relationships, I got a little bit too far out there in social structure, but the masculine side of us doesn't do anything unless you have to do it. This is a biological thing. It's an efficiency gene that we have, and women don't have that gene. They don't understand it. And so why? Because what women do is they do whatever they can, and then they feel overwhelmed. They give and they give and they give, and then they complain, my husband doesn't give to me. My husband doesn't give to me. And so she can't like regulate efficiently. At least when I say she can't, she can, but she doesn't know how to if she's unhappy. Okay, remember, that's what I'm saying. If you're a happy woman, you figured it out. But most women today, their stress levels are measurable by studies. If you look at averages, a woman in the workplace, her cortisol levels are twice as high as the average man. And when she comes home, her cortisol levels from work to home double. Men's goes down after coming home from work. We are much better at how to regulate our stress levels if we are more traditional conservative men. If we're more liberal, we've been taught by the universities, which are extremely liberal, and they have these utopian ideas that we should all be the same. Then they're being taught men should be just like women, and we're no difference, and we should talk about our feelings. And so then women go, what's my husband feeling? And maybe in the beginning, amazing, he has a female side. I get to know what's inside of him. And then he continues to share more, and then she gets disgusted by it. And literally, I hear women tell me all the time, I'm sick of it. My husband talking about his feelings, he's talking all the time. We don't have time for that. It's a turnoff when men are more feminine than they are masculine. Now, there are some people, if we're getting into this broad range, which are born with a more of a balance of masculine and feminine. Okay, so they have within them, and usually they're geniuses, they have more if they're males, they have more connective tissue between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, which means they can easily go from female to male. You can look at these people, and they're your best writers, best politicians, and best artists and musicians. I read a book on the famous lives of artists, musicians, and politicians, famous, and they all have tortured sex lives. It's called The Sex Lives of All These People. They're very tortured because they're confused about their male and female side. They can go from the female side or the male side. It can be very, very confusing. They're not consciously doing it. They're like a pendulum that swings over to their male side, and they're very creative. They're very disciplined. They produce something amazing. And that creative part is because they're connected to their female side. But when a man goes way to his male side, then he will swing way to the female side, and he will have depression and anxiety and become a drug addict. Almost all famous writers, and still today, Hollywood writers, all those people are on drugs. They all take cocaine. There may be exceptions to this, but from my knowledge of it, rock and roll stars, we know these amazing guys up there, they all take drugs.
It's interesting where you're going right now. Makes me think like where you're going right now. Like here's some people I'm thinking about, like Freddie Mercury, Karl Lagerfeld, like a lot of these artsy people. Like this is the people that are operating at a level of mastery that have this kind of more integrated side. These are the people we're talking about here.
Yeah. It's anybody. That creative power you'll also see in the lives of artists. There's this torture. There's this challenge in relationships, and what happens is they swing to their male side, then they go to their female side, and they have no masculinity at that time. The emotions are irrational, and they're turbulent, and they're upset. And then to cope with that, they have addictions. Whenever you have an addiction, if you're a man, it's because your male side is weak. And that whenever your male side is weak, you go to, instead of doing what you have to do, that's masculinity, to achieve your goals, to be a responsible person, to be worthy of love, all those things, what you have to do. When you don't have role models or support to feel confident that I can follow through, then what happens is you go to not what I have to do, but what I like to do. I like to do it. See, this was the 60s for me. I remember a rock song that really put me in a trance, which was do what you like, do what you like. Do what you like, no longer did you have to get married, have sex, free sex if you feel it, take drugs, do whatever you like. And do what you like was really fun in the beginning. but then it crashed. You crash down, you weaken. And fortunately for me, I had a good role model. I learned how to meditate. I became the assistant to the Maharishi of the Tia movement, and a great man who was making a difference in the world. Certainly had his faults, but a role model for me of how to be masculine. And you don't whine, you don't complain, you don't get upset about stuff. You suck it up. The stuff that they tell you in psychology you should never do. Women should never do it. Men have to learn to suck it up.
I have to make the segue here just to bring it back to sales. And I think this is the perfect time to do it. Is in my book on Selling with Love, I speak about a certain type of salesperson that's highly effective, but they don't give a shit about the results of who they sell to. And I kind of make a nod to the Wolf of Wall Street type and the whole industry there, where there seems to be that correlation with addiction around high sales performance, high stress environments. Is there something related to what you're sharing there that can be seen in these high intensity sales position where you're seeing the douchebag salesperson, Wall Street, manipulative sales type of environment?
So the best selling with love is, I want to provide the best service for you. And if it's not the best service for you, I'm going to tell you where you can get the best service. See, that's what you have to do if you want to sell with love. And that's always going to win out the best. Somebody recently referred me to somebody else. And, in my mind, I did go to somebody else. I didn't go to that person. But if I could recommend that person for anything, I would do that. And they stuck out in my mind. Oh, you give it what a sell. That's highly respectable from my point of view. Because he knew what I was wanting was not something he could offer. Somebody else could do better. So that is the opposite of the Wall Street guy. That all comes from a place of insecurity, self-hatred. You don't love yourself. You don't have confidence that I can get it. So suddenly I have to go to my female side. And this is what those guys are on their female side. Their lives are built with doing what they like to do, what they want to do. They're not caring about other people. They're not doing what they have to do to be a good person, to have virtue, values. What are your virtues? What are your values as a man? What makes you feel good? And you stick to that regardless. They don't have that. So what they have, when you don't stand up for your values as a man, you have insecurity. Your testosterone levels will be low. You will then seek happiness and fulfillment by being selfish. Do what you like. Do what you want. Be above the law. And if you want to go further with that, the whole, I've read so many books and everything about spirituality, and also the Satanist books. The whole theme, Aleister Crowley, every chapter of his book, he's the main Satanist in our modern world. It's the rule of Satanists is do what thou wilt. Do whatever you want. You can do anything. It's fine. Follow your pleasure. Even when it comes to sex, we've lost ourselves with men, losing their testosterone by doing non-intimate sex. Impersonal sex only lowers a man's testosterone and disconnects him from his soul. And so having sex with yourself, having sex with online strangers, this just depletes a man and will continually lower his testosterone. And you get addicted to it. You see, when you're on your female side, let me define masculine and female side just by what hormones. When you feel independent, I can do this myself, you're making testosterone. That's one of the symptoms of testosterone. I can do it myself. When you're making estrogen, is I'm depending on you. I need you to do something for me. And that's your manipulative salesperson. I need you to think like I think. And some people are, sociopaths can be amazing salespeople, because you just can't imagine that this person is pushing this on me and it's not a good thing for me. You just couldn't imagine it. I've been, in my younger years, been ripped off so many times because I couldn't imagine that somebody would be trying to trick me, because I never try to trick anybody. Since my wife always said about me, John's an innocent. He may make mistakes, but he's an innocent. He's always sincere. I just want to help. I want to provide. I want to protect. And when I make mistakes and I do feel bad, but immediately I forgive myself because I didn't mean to do that.
Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.